Hey guys, ILene Vick here for Teaching Adult Coloring with ILene Vick, and it is Saturday, June 19th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I am live. Yay! Oh, I love coming in here for you guys. Alright, so welcome to all my Facebook members who pop in and chat. Love to have you come in. Welcome to all my Facebook members who come in and lurk. We love our lurkers. Oh my. But so good to see everybody. And welcome to all my YouTube viewers. Love you guys as well. You should consider becoming a member of my Facebook group so you can come in and chat and have fun with us. So good to see everybody. And don't forget that this goes to video on YouTube, so that if you can't... Hi, Rebecca! So if you can't make it during the live, you can watch it at your leisure. Okay. So I don't have any contests to announce yet. Things are pretty quiet at the moment. Hi, Mary. So I am ready to get coloring. So let's get coloring. All right. So I'm working on ClockWorkLand SteamPunk adult coloring book. Hey, Rhonda. Cute little book, duplicate pages. It's in the affiliate list if you're interested in picking it up. Jean Waring had picked this up. I saw it, and I thought, you know, that would be pretty cool for the group. So I got it, and this is the one I'm working on. Okay. Okie dokie smoky. So last night I was working on a combination of the feathers and the cogs. And I drew in these lines on the face. You know that I'm really big on that, is to making your book your own. And yes, I did spray this with the Krylon. Oh, Pearl, you had a great day? What happened? Tell me something positive that happened. Rita, welcome. So tell me something fun. Tell the group something fun, everybody, that happened to you today. Okay. And don't forget, guys. Hi, Laura Jean. Welcome, welcome. Laura Jean, I don't think I've seen you here before. Pearl, 4 quarts of your grandson's farm, Michigan strawberries. Oh, at their best. Oh, make my mouth water. Laura Jean, welcome. Rebecca made fish and chips from scratch. That was a lot of very tasty fun. Oh, good. Zoom in. Ronnie got out and about and had dinner with a friend today. Good. So let's welcome Laura Jean. Laura Jean, I don't know if you've ever seen my broadcast before, but we are an interactive group from 7 to 10. We got a great group of people, and if you're here just for company, that's wonderful. If you're here to learn adult coloring, that's great too. Either way, that's great. We're glad to have you. And if you are here for adult coloring, don't be shy to speak up. Questions? Oh, you've been. Okay, Laura Jean. Rita got a container of homemade green chili made by your next door neighbor. Oh man, you guys are really hitting the jackpot. Well, Laura Jean, I'm glad you've been here. That's great. Okay, so I'm using my Arteza white gel pens. And by the way, it doesn't take us long to talk about food here. Oh no, Rebecca says I'm here for the food talk and ILene's singing. Oh no. Okay, zoom out. Zoom out. So this little girl is coming together beautifully. Let me get the light going here the way it should be so that you guys... Hello, Cindy. So we don't get a lot of sheen on this, because remember I was using my metallic pencils. Okay. Hey, newbie, welcome to the family. We are family. Da 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 da. We can be a pretty silly group sometimes. Okay. So what do you guys think of our gearhead lady so far? She's coming along beautifully. Amy says, hey, been busy today. New roommate moving in with her kitty Spooky. Ah, it was another hot one today. Okay, I'm working in metallic pencils right now for these feathers, guys. Zoom in. Now remember how I always tell you, you may not be super pumped up about what I'm coloring, but I want you to watch how I'm coloring it. Zoom in. Okay, metallic pencil on the feathers. Now, so Pearl says we're a silly group sometimes, but if someone having a downtime, we're here to help raise you up. Exactly. Whether by chatting or by prayer. Pearl, you hit it, the nail on the head. Ronnie says Nehemiah is excited. He's finally advanced to tackle. He has received his shoulder pads and helmet. We don't know yet what position. Ooh. How cool is that? Okay. Now, you know that I tell you when you color, don't get into a rut, a repetitive rut. So when you're coloring these feathers, you want to color them slightly different ways. Well, you tell Nehemiah we're proud of him, okay? So notice on this feather, oh, Nehemiah says Ronnie says he finally got one of his top 2 teeth in, but now he lost the bottom one. Okay. So on this feather, guys, I am alternating the blue and the green along the spine. Please do not get into a pattern rut when you've got multiple items of the same things. Now sometimes you have to because it calls for it, but you know what I mean, right? Feathers here. Oh, Ronnie, that's sweet. He asks about your coloring friends. Oh, that's so sweet. Okay, now on feathers, you know that I like to do like 1 or 2 of them yellow. So I'm going to take this one spot here. And I'm going to go ahead and pop in a little yellow. Well, you tell Nehemiah, Ronnie, that we're very proud of him. Okay, everybody see how I'm doing this now? Don't be afraid to experiment. Don't be afraid to do something a little bit different. Zoom out. Okay, everybody see that now? Of course you can see it. Okay. So let's go ahead and we'll do this last feather. Now let's look at the color balance. We've got greens up here. We've got a couple of purples here. So you would just want to keep a general idea, guys, of where your colors are. Still working with metallics. Zoom in. Now, oh, thank you, Rhonda. I'm glad you like the music. Now, does everybody see how I'm varying the length of this purple as well? Please, please, please do not get in a rut in your coloring, guys. Now, let me show you a for instance about that comment. You could go ahead and tip the blue right here. Just like I'm doing up here. And then have the rest of it be your purple. Now, another thing you can do is you can put your blue on top of your purple, and that's going to make some steampunkish look coloring. Zoom in. So, Laura Jean, have I like just missed you, or have you mostly been just lurking? And don't forget, you're going to want to color over your outside lines. People do not walk around with black lines around them. You've visited a few times. Oh, Laura Jean, I'm so sorry I didn't remember. Excuse me. My apologies. Zoom out. Zoom out. Zoom out. Zoom out. Look at that. I recently colored the lady, and I told you to color her hat purple. Okay. That's right, you did. And I was going to do that anyway, and then we talked about purple being my fav color. Okay. So I've got one more feather to do. Oh, I just love purple. I really do. Now, here's an example where I'm going to run the blue along the spine of the feather. But I went ahead and ran it up one of the feathers itself. Zoom in. Yeah, I added the cellophane. That's right. Now, do you notice how I made, zoom in? Do you notice how I made this little V with my coloring here? I want you guys to think about these little touches, guys. Okay. And when you add these little touches that I'm showing you, like extending this arm out, making this little V down here, that's what your viewer is going to be delighted about. Oh, went over the edge. Just kept right on going. And you guys know that when I talk to you about your coloring, think of your coloring like you're painting a canvas. Does an artist go through and just slash color on their painting? No, they're deliberate. Now, I know that there's pop art and stuff like that, and people throw cans of paint at canvases. But you know what I mean. I'm sorry, Laura Jean is what? An eraser. This. Zoom out. Zoom out. Yeah, this is my AFMAT, AFMAT electric eraser. Absolutely love it. I used to not have one, thinking it was ridiculous to have it, and right now, if you were to ask me today, I'd say pry it out of my, you know, cold dead hands. You can get it off our affiliate list. Okay, let me tidy up. Zoom in. Zoom in. Hello, Maddie. Maddie has entered the room. Now, don't forget, guys, if you need me to zoom in or zoom out or whatever, speak up. I can't read minds. Okay. So let's play around with a few more gears. Oh, let's see what we got here. Zoom in. Now, don't be afraid to fill in your pieces with black. Black is a wonderful, wonderful way to create a stunning contrast. I love my pens. These are just the Pilot pens. There are markers you can buy. There are felt tip markers. Hi, Angela. I didn't see you sneak in here. Welcome. Angela, I'm doing okay. A little muggy today, but other than that, Angela, are you having a good day? Okay, now, I'm even going to go a little further with this. Zoom in. Zoom in. So these little circles here, I'm going to go ahead and color them in. Zoom out. Zoom out. Oh good, you've been coloring away, that's good. Okay, so as I'm looking at this overall, I'm looking where my black concentrations are. And I'm going to go ahead and add one more area of black. Zoom in. There we go. Zoom out. Oh man, I hope you get your surgery taken care of as well. Angela, refresh my memory. What's your surgery for, please? I missed a spot here. Gastric bypass. Oh, that's right. Angela, promise that you'll keep us updated, please. All right. Anybody that's new, you're welcome to chat. You're welcome to lurk. You're welcome to ask questions. All right, Angela, I'm going to hold you to that. Okay, so last night I was playing around with some rivets on this face. Let's see if I can catch the page in my box here. All right. So last night I added these lines. Took 2 seconds. Boom, boom. Just going to clean this up just a little bit. You can add any pattern you want, or you can add no pattern. Up to you, of course. But it's my job to show you these things to give you alternatives. There are other ways to color these gears, but again, I'm giving you alternatives and ideas. So I was playing around with the circles last night. I wasn't happy with the size I chose. So I'm going to try this again. And if you need to adjust a little bit, go ahead and do that. This is why we do it in pencil. Oh, I like that a lot better. Sorry for hitting the camera. Oh yeah, I'm liking that a lot better than what I did last night. Everybody see that? Okay, Maddie. Now, there's a partial rivet because it's underneath the gear. Yeah, Maddie came in kind of quiet tonight. Yeah, she stepped away for a second, Pearl. Okay. So I'm going to, obviously I'm making this young lady's face metallic, right? So once you're satisfied with the placement of your holes, or your circles, I should say, alright, so we're going to have one that's about there, and one that's about there. Alright. Oh, Rebecca, I don't mind at all keeping you company while you work out in your garden. I love it when people take this group wherever they are. Anybody have any questions about what I'm doing? Okay, now that I'm satisfied with my hole placement, now I'm going to go back with my pen and put my circles in. And I gotta get a different pen, adding large freckles. Not really. But good question. That's a good one, Pearl. Excuse me. while I reach. Now, just because you put your pencil lines down somewhere doesn't mean that you have to follow them exactly. That's why you do them in pencil, because even when you go to draw in ink, you can still make last-minute adjustments. And I do that all the time, especially when I'm freehanding something that I'm adding. And I've shown you that. Okay, Pearl, see you in a little bit. Zoom in. Now, notice how I drew a half rivet behind the lips. Isn't that cool? Pay attention to what you're doing and when you're adding stuff. Oh, let's see here. And while I'm doing this, I want you thinking about things that you can add your touches to. Now, not necessarily rivets, obviously. Zoom out. Is this giving anybody any ideas? Yes, no, maybe? Thumbs up, thumbs down, neutral. Oh, wee. Okay, now, when your ink dries, this is where I normally get into trouble. Take one of your erasers. I'm going to take my little squishy eraser and very gently erase your pencil. And yes, it makes a difference, because your pencil, unless you hit it exactly with your pen, is going to leave a halo, and you don't want that. So this is a must-do. Okay, Pearl, good. And guys, thank you so much for letting us know when you step out. Okay. Zoom out. Hi, Sarah. Okay, okie dokie. Sarah says she forgot to say hi. Okay, now, metallic, obviously. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a base color. Zoom in. Sarah says she's coloring a flower daily planner page. Cool. Now, I'm going to go ahead and color this a very light skin color. Now, trust me on this. I'm going somewhere with this. I'm doing this to add a sense of face on this, if that makes sense, hopefully. Meant to say from Yvette Ramos Levy, and it's a Christian planner. Okay, Sarah. Now, the reason that I am not coloring this silver is because I've got my gears, which are already shades of silver. That's why I said I'm going somewhere with this. And this is why you follow me, because I think of things like this. No, Sarah, I am not familiar with her. Yvette Ramos Levy? No, ma'am. Oh, okay. I'll make it a point to look at some of her stuff. Da-da-dum. And again, guys, when you're doing stuff like this, take your time. Zoom out. Okay, so obviously now this is a face, right? And again, the reason I didn't go with these silvers yet was because I wanted to distinguish between the upper and the lower and not have one mess of silver in here. Now, very lightly, blender pencil. Now be very careful when you blend over your inks because they may come up gray, especially the ones that you've drawn in. Zoom in, zoom in. All right, now I'm going to take a very light gray and now we're going to start to punk up her face. let's see here. Change something here. I accidentally picked up a metallic gray, which I really don't want. And this happens to be a cool bank. And I found the metallic gray that I wanted. I just didn't want that other one, excuse me. So I'm working with the metallic gray. And yes, it's looking scratchy. And that's what I want. Zoom out. Hey, Helen. Now, I'm going to concentrate on these lines here to gray them up as well. Zoom in. And now you guys can see that her face is starting to look pretty rough, right? zoom out. Okay, now a little bit of a blender pencil, very light. I'm hardly touching this at all. And we're going to smooth this out just a little bit. Now, you guys can decide how steampunkish you want this young lady to look. I'm just here to present you with ideas. I'm not going to tell you you have to do this. And it's to your own taste, obviously. Okay. So now I'm going to start to shade in some of the contours here. And I want you to keep in mind, guys, that this is no different than doing a normal face. We want to go ahead and have our shadows on the outside. And then blending it in. Now, if you're having any problems with your metallic or you start to get wax bloom, switch your pencil to a non-metallic gray. Okay. Yeah, it's a pretty rough face, Helen, I'll tell you. All right. Now, if you don't like the darker streaks on it, don't put them in, okay? Again, this is for demonstration only, to show you the different techniques and ideas. You say tomato, I say tomato, but if you want something like this, this is how you do it. This is how I do it. Okay, now, but wait, there's more. That's like you in the mornings. Helen, actually, I think this was like you when you took your tumble. Zoom in. Zoom in. Okay, now I'm taking a reddish brown, and the key word is reddish. And we're going to go ahead and rust this up. Now, I want you to keep in mind, guys, remember, this is the process. And that means that it's going to look a little rough and a little weird. Until you get it finished. Zoom out. And I want you to notice that I'm starting to lay out my rust spots on my rivets. Now, I'm going to make these 3 rivets the same. And the reason that I'm pointing that out is because remember I just told you a few minutes ago not to be repetitive. This is different. This is the style I want, to show rust happening at a certain point. I just didn't want you to be repetitive on those feathers. Now, you can be repetitive, but if you're intending not to be, that's what I'm saying, is you got to be careful. And I'm going to go ahead, zoom in, zoom in. We can go ahead and rest up the mouth a little bit. Depends how much you want to do with it. Zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. All right, now I'm going to turn this upside down because we need to look at it and see how that looks. You remember that little trick I showed you? And Melba talked about it as well. Does it look balanced? Do you like what it looks like? You know, there you go. Yeah, a little bit of change there. Okay, let's whip this around. You don't want your mind, when you flip it over, to make sense of what's going on. Zoom in. Now, I'm going to feather touch, guys. I can't emphasize this enough. You need to blend in your rest now. And the neat thing is, as you blend it, it's going to spread. Zoom in. See how this is spreading now? And how we're looking more realistic with it. Now, don't blend it away. That means don't get crazy with your blending. And as you do this, you'll start to see when it looks good to you. Now, notice how much better and cohesive this whole thing looks when I soften up those rust spots. Zoom out. All right. Excuse me while I get some water. I'm getting there, Helen. Okay. Now I'm going to take what's an olive green. This master doesn't tell me the name. Zoom in. But you can go ahead and add a little bit of green, not much, guys. This is one of those things your brain sees that your eyes don't. And it also depends on your shade that you want. All right. One more little touch. Very dark gray. Even a black. Zoom in. Now, I would highly encourage you to go to Google and Google rust. Now, I'm going to use my darkest gray here just to darken this crease that I put in, this line. And again, I'm not going to necessarily do the same thing at the top of the crease that I'm doing at the bottom. Now you can, but you need to look at what looks good through the overall thing. For example, on this point here where these lines are coming together, I'm adding a little bit of darker, like a splotch almost. So this would scare your family, Helen. Zoom out. Zoom out. And again, you don't have to add this black all the way down to the bottom of your line. You could just stop maybe 2/3. Experiment, think it through. And guys, this is exactly why I tell you to color like you're painting. Take your time and look at how the piece develops, okay? Does that make sense? Don't just rush through that. Just because you make a thicker line at the top, you're going to do it at the bottom. Okay. Zoom out. And again, notice that I'm just making little splotches. Zoom in, zoom in. I'm making little splotches of gray along the bottom here, the darker, but not necessarily carrying it all the way up. Okay. And I'm really going to blend this in because we want this to look not spotty. I know everybody's so quiet. That's all right. We have nights like that. Okay, so I'm going to tidy up a little bit. Sometimes we talk, sometimes we don't. That's okay. As long as people are learning, I don't have any problem with nobody chatting. That happens once in a while. All right. So let me clean my little rivets here. Rhonda, what do you think? Maddie, what do you think? All right. So Rhonda says, I'm having to concentrate on coloring outside my comfort zone. Takes work for me to change direction, but she says she really loves it. Okay. Okay. Now let's pay attention to our rivets. Hold on, I gotta brush my area. My little eraser chunks get underneath my paper and then I color over them. Okay. All right, so let's get some dimensional rivets on here. This is always fun. Zoom in. So I'm going to color this in a light gray. Let's see how close I need to get. Zoom in. And then I'm going to make my backwards C. and then touch it up with my light gray a little bit. And as I get out here and do these other ones, you'll see what I'm doing. So, light gray, backward C, because we're creating that edge, and then blend it in, which means you get what? Lighter and lighter. It's like coloring bubbles that I've showed you. Zoom out. Light gray. Now the neat thing is, because of this particular background, you can like go way outside the circle when you do this. And it works beautifully. All right, and when I pull out, you're going to see how cool this looks. Zoom out. Everybody see how that's starting to look? Again, a light gray. And then your backward C of your darker color. Now, I want to fix one rivet because I got a little bit too enthusiastic with my color here. There we go. Zoom out. There you go. Questions, comments, you like it, you don't like it. You'll try it, you won't try it. And if you want to rust up your piece a little more and get around these rivets, zoom in. You can do that as well. And what I would suggest, in fact, is to take your brown for your rust and get right on that line on the right hand side of your rivets and darken that in. So it's going to be a little darker right next to the rivet than it is coming out. Everybody understand that? So I'm taking my brown for my rust and going right next to that rivet. So I'm putting a little color into that ditch. Good night, Miss Pearl. And this is where you can start really playing now, is if you want to start your rusting on this rivet, for example, and carry it down the face. See how I'm doing that? You can have a lot of fun with this, guys. Play with it, paint it with your pencils. And remember, fade your brown out away from your rivet. Darkest right next to it, lighter and lighter as it goes out. It's important that you do that. Hi, Jeannie. Now, I want to show you something else too as well that you can do. Oh, there you go, Rita. Zoom in. All right, on this rivet, I'm going to take this brown all the way around. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this rivet as well. I'm going to do it on this want you to see how doing that starts to create these little depth pockets on these rivets. That's the last thing I wanted to do with these, to show you this. And Rita, your comment about you saying you didn't care for this picture at first, now I like it a lot and would consider one myself. Guys, exactly. All right, everybody see how I'm circling around these rivets? And then you can bring that rust down a little bit if you want. So if you want to talk depth, there you go. Hi, Melba. That's right. Never prejudge your pictures, guys. Zoom out. Hello, 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 Miss Melba. And I'm just going to take very lightly my gray. Zoom out. Let's take a look at this whole thing. So what do you think? I gotta smooth this out right here. Oh, how cool, Melba. Melba, you should just leave your iPhone on or iPad on. In the background. Okay. And by the way, I'm really surprised that not one of you have said we ought to call her Steampunk Lola. What's wrong with you guys? Okay, so Oh, I see what you're saying, Melba. So I can't talk about you, right? Because you'll hear me. So Rhonda says she made a big mistake on the current picture, made the dress go way out wrong direction, used white washed paint and covered and colored over it when it dried. Good for you, Rhonda. And I'm going to ask you a favor, Rhonda. I'm going to ask you to post that picture and tell us what happened. Melba says she's got big ears. Darn it, Melba. I can't use the word tint then when you're not, when I don't see you in the room. I'm just using the word tint in another context, that's all. Oh my. Whoops. I love that drippy rust on the rivets. Okay. And those lips are absolutely screaming at me to make them a bright pink. Pinkish red. Red. Zoom in. Zoom in. So I'm going to go ahead and add a pink. Yeah, I was considering giving it some cheeks. I just may consider taking that suggestion, Melba. Okay, so I'm going to put red on the outside here. Well, Melba, it already is flat. It's SteamPunk. It's flat plates of metal. Haven't gotten there yet, Melba. For the shadows underneath the cogs. Yep. Okay, so be sure that you have that little dip in the lips. Now, I'm going to find my light gray. And I'm going to put a little bit of light gray over the red. Why? Because we want this, zoom in, we want this to look steampunkish. See how that gray is doing a beautiful job of doing that? Fun. Melba, I had so much fun when you were here, I'll tell you. Now, I can't do too much about that line going around the lips, but that's okay. Zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. I mean, I know I'm repeating myself because I told you that before about how fun you were, but it just came into mind, so it popped out my mouth. Okay. Melba, is Deco Art gonna get in touch with me about what we've been discussing? Okay, now, when you're doing this face, guys, have fun with it. Tweak it. Play with the rust. Make it rusty. And again, you didn't have to do this. I added these two lines to make those segments and make it metallic. Then I added the rivets. Then I showed you how to make them dimensional. Okay. Let's go ahead and get some of these gears done. She hasn't gotten back with you. Okay. Well, tell her there's a chance that I'm open to showing Art Deco product. All right, anybody has any questions, comments? And by comments, I mean, yes, you could do this. No, you can't do it. Yes, you can do this. You can do this. Okay, I'm using a nice dark gray on my gears. Zoom in. And I need to blend that now. Guys, look at this. Zoom in, zoom in. I want you to see this. See how I just put a little bit of gray here? Look how popcorny that is. Look what happens when I start to blend this. It got very dark. Remember when I told you that there are some pencils and some colors that you'll put it on there and you'll go to blend it and it'll totally change. That's why I keep telling you, tint your colors in. And in this case, when I say tint, I mean put them in lightly. Remember how Maddie was doing her pieces in Forest Girl? And she was putting in the light shades that she was going to use, and then she went back and used them. And keep your piece tidy. Okay. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to use, let's see, hold on, gotta find it. Gonna show you a trick with blue and gray. Here we go. Layer of blue, light blue. And then I'm going to take a gray and very lightly go over the blue. And I want you to see now how that's tinting that up beautifully. And then you can take your blue and go back over the gray. as a way to blend it in. Anybody have any questions about that? Now, I'm going to take my dark gray and I'm going to shadow underneath this. And I'm going to go, I want to lift it up, straight up off the paper and make it look like it's popping up. If I don't make you dizzy by turning this. And we're going to go ahead and put a dark line underneath here. Questions? Comments? You like it? You don't like it? You already know how to do this. And I'm also going to carry this gray out a little bit as well. Zoom out. Zoom out. Everybody see how we've got that popping off the paper now? Okay. And I'm going to tidy up this a little bit too with my electric eraser. There we go. Zoom in. Oh, let's see what I got here. A nice light gray here. And we've got a hole in this thing. Well, I'm sorry. It's not a hole. It's a, you're seeing the inside of the cog here. So there's some depth to it. So we'll go ahead and shadow that and darken it up as well. There we go. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and just put just a little bit of gray on these half moons here to indicate that depth as well. Because we're looking down holes, right? There we go. All right, and I'm just making a couple of minor corrections to this where I didn't fill in background gears. That's all I'm doing here, so give me a second here. You never know when these artists draw this stuff, whether they go ahead and accurately place the image on the page or they just draw in a little squiggle just to finish something off. Okay. So back to my outer gear here. And I'm going to use a little bit of gray. Just a touch, guys. On the ends of the cogs. Zoom in. Zoom in. And I'm going to angle it down a little bit on a couple of these cogs. Excuse me, teeth. Don't get streaky with it. Keep it soft, keep it blended. And all I'm doing is I'm just adding a little bit of flavor and personality. To the cog. Questions? Okay. A little bit of blender pencil. 2 swipes. Bring down that gray a little bit if you want. Now, you do have to make sure that you really don't have any popcorn in your gears. That sounds funny, doesn't it? Because these are supposed to be metal. Zoom out. There you go. Okay. light gray on my next gear. Now, guys, don't get flummoxed. Oh, I'm glad you love it, Rhonda. Thank you. Don't get flummoxed when you have a page with a lot of gears like this. How many times have I told you that each piece in itself, you want to concentrate and give each piece your best effort? And if it bugs you, to do all these gears, step back from it. Zoom in. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and put some streaks on here. To make it look a little worn. And don't forget we've got holes on here, so you're going to want to darken around those, right? Now, notice how I am darkening in on this V. In this one area. Again, guys, be creative. Excuse my arm. If you're going to dirty up your gear, be creative about it. Don't do a half, you know, a half donkey job on it. Okay, now, I obliterated my little black rivets here. So I'm just going to go ahead and touch those up with my pen. Zoom out. Let's take a look at that. Zoom out. Everybody see how this piece is coming together. And Rita made a good point. You know, she said that she wasn't liking it in the beginning. But now that she's seeing what I'm doing with it, she says she loves it. Please don't prejudge your pictures, guys. Okay, so I've got another gear over here. I'm going to use the same gray that I used before. And I'm doing that just for picture continuity. Zoom in. Zoom in. And the really neat thing about doing this particular gear picture is once you start coloring in your layers of gear, it starts to look really cool. Okay, now I've got a third layer of gear here, a little hard to see. So I'm going to go ahead and color that a darker color in between. So we've got lots of lathering, going on. Now, because I'm in a small space, I'm going to go ahead and use my pen for black in between the teeth. And remember, you're going to have to frequently clean your pen off because you're popping over pencil wax, which is wax. And that pencil wax is getting up into your roller ball of the pen. So don't lose your patience with it, okay? zoom out. Oh my gosh, guys, this is looking so beautiful. Okay. Let's put a little gold on top of this gear. Now, when you do something like this, zoom in. Be very careful that your ink is dry. Now, I just put this ink down, so I may be getting a little bit of the black in there. Just ignore it. And we'll go ahead and put our next color, which is our brown. And you can already see that we're getting that gold sheen. Now, I'm also going to let my pencil get a little darker in some areas. In other words, I'm letting that streak. Because we've got gears. Now remember, you can do different shades of gold, right? I'm going to do a little cleanup on aisle 6 here. Clean up on aisle 6. And notice that I let my brown be, like I said, streaky. I just said that. Now, if you want to, you can yellow up your gold some more. Totally up to you. I'm just showing you this as an option, because that's what I do. And then what you're going to do is you're going to get a very dark brown. And this is going to be a little tricky because we're in a small area. But that's okay. And I'm going to add a little shade of this darker brown. And notice how that brings out now your gold color. Isn't that beautiful? Now, it looks streaky close up. It won't be. At normal distance, it looks pretty cool. Zoom out. There you go. And again, if you want to lighten your gold, you can pop a little yellow on there. And for that matter, you can also pop in a little bit of white. But remember, your white's going to make it a little duller. So be careful when you do that. Questions? And then I'm going to go ahead and color in my little rim that's here. Indicating the depth. La-da-dum, la-da-dum. So I'm going to hit that with a little bit of gray. And then a little bit of darker gray at the bottom. It's a shadow, guys. You want to make that like a shadow. Because we're looking down a hole. Okay. And if you have any white areas accidentally left over, just go ahead and hit that with your black pencil or your black pen. Okay. Rhonda. Okay, outside here, I'm using a metallic green. Zoom in. Rhonda, am I close enough for you? Did you get your TV set up yet? All right, and now I'm coming back with a gold pencil on top of the green. Oh, sorry to hear that. Okay, I'm going to jump over to the background on this. Because I think you've gotten a good idea about these gears and how to do them. If not, let me know. Now, don't forget that when you've already colored your gears, if you want to come back and add some things based on what you've done with your picture, yeah, you can do that. I'm using a different gray to dirty up this gear that I did earlier. Any hesitation, guys, now about doing gears? Be messy with them, they're fun. Zoom out. Maddie, I'm glad you did fall asleep. I like to think that this group is very restful for people. Okay, background. Eyeshadow. All right, let me grab some water here. Yeah, I put the rivets on here. I drew in these two lines and put the rivets on and showed people how to color that. Okay, sponge tip applicators. These are the ones I talk about them all the time. This is my set that's got all the browns in it. Zoom out. And I'm going to start my background. I don't know if you guys can see this. Zoom in. Zoom in. With a very light tan. And I'm going to start with a light color, all right? You know I'm going somewhere with this, as always. And the reason that I'm going with these browns is because I've got golds in the gears, right? And I want something neutral in the background. This piece is pretty busy. Oops. Maddie, remember why you asked me why I bought all the eyeshadow? This is the reason why. This is from my newest kit. Zoom out. Now, I'm not done with this face because I still have to add, Melba mentioned a little bit of cheek color with pink, which I'll do. And I want to shadow this because I want those feathers and the gears off the face. So I want to add that dimension. But I didn't want to start that up yet because we're getting close to finishing. And again, guys, these sponge tip applicators, they're in the affiliate list. I can't recommend them enough. They are so good at spreading the eyeshadow. Just absolutely phenomenal. Much, much better than using your which makes Maddie happy because she's not a finger person with her chalks and stuff. Now notice I'm applying this in circles, right? Aren't they great, Maddie? You said you love them? You love these applicators? Oh my gosh, they're the best. And for me, because I have larger hands, they're 3 inches long, and I love that. Now again, guys, I'm not done with that face, and I will do that tomorrow before I get into my new project. Now, I could use gelatos. Oh, you've got these applicators as well, Rhonda. Good. Like I said, these applicators fall under essential. You know, like the erasers, like the electric sharpener, the Tombow, teeny tiny eraser, blender pencils. Okay. Now, if you notice the gears on the bottom here, these 3 gears are sticking out more, and that's because I've got this brown. Zoom in. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back with a darker brown. Around the immediate outside. I missed that gear. Okay. Now, you don't want too big of a color jump in the shade of your brown. So test it out on paper first. So I'm just going to halo this. Everybody know what I mean by halo? Somebody tell me what I mean by that. And the critical thing that you want to do when you do this is make sure that you roughly follow the indentations of your piece. See how this little leaf comes out here? So I came out here with my eyeshadow. And what you want to do is you want to blend that out a little bit. And by halo effect, I mean follow this around, follow the indentations with your darker color. Zoom out. Now, I realize that this piece is stretching you guys a little bit, especially with these rivets and adding the lines on the face and so forth. But that's exactly what I want to do here. All right, now, you want this halo effect to look deliberate. And by that I mean the color difference between your first laydown of eyeshadow and this halo has to be distinct enough that it doesn't look like that you did a poor blending job. And just got funny with your colors and didn't get it blended smoothly. And what I want you guys to get over is when you're going to do something like this, you've got to go whole hog. You've got to commit to the design that you're doing and follow through with it. Everybody see what I mean? Now, I'm taking my darker brown And the neat thing about your sponge applicators is they hold a lot of color. So I didn't have to reapply this even to do this with the gear. So I'm going to go ahead and roughly go around my gears. And in this particular gear here, I'm going to go ahead and go in between these little cogs. Zoom in. Now here's a little touch. I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to shadow around the inside of these cogs. And then I'm going to blend that. So don't forget to do something like that, guys. Isn't that cool? All right. And even with this eyeshadow here, zoom in. You can go ahead and shadow around your individual pieces, right? Anybody have any thoughts on this? You like it? And again, if not, that's fine. Okay, blender pencil. Lightly. You want it kind of scruffy here. Now, guys, sometimes you may use a brand of pencil that doesn't play well with your eyeshadow. If that's the case, switch the brand. So if you notice that you're getting pilling or waxy buildup, just change your brand. Zoom out. Zoom out. Now, unfortunately on the camera, I'm looking at my screen and it looks like there's a big blotch of tan here. The way I'm going to fix that is I'm going to use a lighter shade yet. And I want you to see this. And I'm going to go ahead and blend out this a little bit. Now, I'm only doing it on the edges of the darker color, all right? I'm not trying to minimize or go over that darker tan that I'm using right next to the face. Everybody understand that? And if I had been using pencil to do this, I'd be doing the same thing. So all I'm doing is softening that transition between the two eyeshadow colors. That's all I'm doing. Okay. Now, as far as the outside is concerned, you could stop right there. Maddie, do you and Rhonda want to stay a little longer? Or do you want to call it an evening? Yeah, it does look better. I'm just blending that line between my two eyeshadow colors so that it doesn't look as harsh. You're tired. Okay. I'll continue this tomorrow night. Now, one last thing and then I'm going to call it a night because I've got a Snickers candy bar waiting for me. Oh, Rhonda says she can. Okay. I'll do it tomorrow night. But let me show you this one last thing. So I'm going to use my gummy eraser and I'm just going to clean up these little indentations a little bit. See how I'm doing that? So if you accidentally lose your indentations from following the outside of your piece, take your gummy eraser and fix it. Plus, I have an area in here that got a little darker than I wanted. I want to show that distinction between the wheel and the face. And it got a little mushy. Does that make sense what I'm doing with this eraser, guys? Okay, I'm calling it an evening. Lots of fun on this one, lots of technique. I think we're in good shape. Okay guys, I hope you had fun watching me do this face for you. I love doing the rivets and the rust runs. Oh, look at all those likes coming by. Whoever has putty tats. Alright guys, this is ILene Vick for Teaching Adult Coloring with ILene Vick. Oh guys, joyous, joyous coloring. I hope you had fun. Oop! Sorry. We'll try that again. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something. Especially on how to put rivets on somebody's face. So joyous, joyous coloring. Love you guys. And I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.